Call the Owatonna City Council meeting to order for December 3rd, 2013. That we may have roll call.
Councilmember Trulson.
Here.
Dotson.
Here.
Schultz.
Here.
Burbank.
Here.
Rainey.
Here.
Svenby.
Here.
Abraham.
Here.
Mayor Kuntz.
Here.
We have all 7 at the council and the mayor present.
Thank you. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. And with that, we have no changes to the agenda, so we'll look for a motion to approve it as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion by Nate.
Second.
Second by Greg Schultz. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Now we'll move on to first public hearing, which is 1.51 annexation for groundmasters. And with that, we'll go to Troy.
Bruce and Betty Jo Busho, on behalf of Owatonna Groundmasters, have petitioned the city for annexation of the property located at 1520 State Avenue for the purposes of connecting to municipal utilities. The property is approximately 2.1 acres, and that does include some right-of-way of State Avenue. The property is proposed to be zoned B2 Community Business District. Municipal water and sewer are currently available along State Avenue. The applicant is requesting annexation in order to hook up to the utilities. The City Council did approve an agreement to allow the applicant to begin construction for those connections. The township portion of taxes is $141.23 annually. And under our annexation agreement with Owatonna Township, the city is required to reimburse the township for 2.5 years of taxes, which would total $353.08. The city, the budget impact would be that we pay the 2.5 years of property taxes, Owatonna Township portion, which would be $353.08. And staff is recommending approval of the proposed annexation's first reading. Second reading would then be at the next council meeting on December 17th, and also further recommending that the property be placed in a B2 Community Business District.
Thank you. With that, we'll open the public hearing at 7:04. Anyone wish to speak on this, please step forward to the microphone. Seeing none, we'll look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Raymond to close the public hearing. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Brent Svenby. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved to close. Now, what is the council's wishes?
I'll move the first reading and approval.
We have a motion by Raymond to approve the first reading of this public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave Burbank. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved to go to the second reading as presented. With that, we'll move on to the second 1.52 annexation of Stockwell Edition. We'll go back to Troy.
Okay, this is a request from Jeremy and Kaylin Barsh, owners of 2694 Hoffman Drive, and Leona Stockwell, owner of 2696 Hoffman Drive, as well as Northern Building Contractors, which hold the contract of that second parcel, to be annexed, again, to connect with municipal utilities. Property is 2.36 acres, and that does include right-of-way as well. It's again proposed to be in the B2 Community Business District. There are utilities available on Hoffman Drive to hook up to. They are requesting again to be hooked up to utilities, and they have agreed to that agreement that was approved by council at the last council meeting, where they would hook up before snow arrived, because the annexation process would take longer than that. They have agreed to a letter of understanding. The letter waives the rights of the property owners to appeal the assessments and agrees to the deferred assessments amount for connecting to the utilities, as well as the timing of the connections. The letter also agrees to spread the assessment over 10 years at 3.5%. The township portion for taxes on these properties is $281.55. And again, we would be required to pay the 2.5 years of taxes as per our annexation agreement with Owatonna Township. So again, the budget impact is $703.88, and staff would recommend approval of the proposed annexation. This being the first reading, second reading again would be on December 17th, and again, further recommending that the property be placed in a B2 community business district.
Thank you, Troy. With that, we will open the public hearing at 7:07. Anyone who wishes to speak or comment on this issue? Seeing none, we'll look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Raymond to close.
Second.
Second by Greg Schultz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Now, what is council's wishes? I do have a question on that. Last year, when the Highway 14 was turned back to the county, there was a name change. Where does that actually start and stop?
Hoffman Drive, I believe, goes up to 39th Avenue, and then it switches to Crane Creek Road.
Or
So this would fall within the Hoffman
fall
Drive
within the
name.
Hoffman
Yep,
Drive?
correct.
Okay. The other question I had is that you were talking about getting it hooked up this year yet, before the snow flies?
Right.
What
So
happens?
we did approve that agreement, the council did, and so they are authorized to go ahead and do that. I have not checked to see if that has been completed yet,
Okay.
but they are authorized to do so.
I
under
guess I
that
would just
agreement.
ask if you could check on that to see what the status is.
Yep, I can do that.
Okay. Any questions from the council? Raymond?
Troy, is there anybody else along there, you got that property west of them, and is there, we're kind of spot annexation a little bit there. Is there any other people thinking about it there?
Well, when that sewer and water, those utilities went in, we did notify everybody out there to let them know that that was available to them. If anybody wanted to annex in and hook up to services, they could do so. These two properties were the only ones that were interested at the time, and under our annexation agreement, it's as a request, on a request basis. So as those properties are wanting to or needing to annex in because of utilities, they'll make those requests at that time.
That company right west of Aldi's, is that annexed in, Used to be Dunkirk, Dave, is that annexed in?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Any other questions? Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Greg Schultz to approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Nate. He beat you out there, Kevin. So, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also to proceed to the second reading. With that, we'll move on to the financial report, and I will do a quick recap. $30,853 for av fuel for the airport fuel, $20,118 for Owatonna flood floor covering for balance of library carpeting, $122,401 for Don Patel Corporation for Northwest Industrial Park Pond, $158,781 for other expenditures, for a total of $330,184 for. With that, we add to the Section 8 December 1st payments of $62,691 for a grand total of $392,876. What is the council's wishes?
I would move that we pay the expenses.
We have a motion by Dave to pay the expenses. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Greg Schultz. Raymond?
Just got a question. I put an email to Dave Beaver. We always approve fuel for the airport. Tonight, $30,000. I asked him he'd sometime give us a little report on the income side. Are we getting our labor back? So he's put together a report for me. And we always see the expense, but we never seem to see the income side of it. So if you want a copy of that when I get it, I'll ask him for, it's kind of nice to see what our income is on all that fuel. We approve the expense, but we don't see that side of it. So I get it if you want a copy.
Sure.
Sure.
We'll send it out to you, entire
I
council.
just thought it'd be good
Yeah.
to see, what are we doing? Are we compared to other towns, and fuel costs is, it's a lot of money.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Next item on the agenda is our consent agenda items, which are minutes of meetings, board commission minute reports, department reports, etc., grouped into one motion. What is the council's wishes?
Motion to approve.
A motion by Brent to approve. Do we have a second to that?
I'll second it.
Second by Raymond. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. Moving down to action items. Get to play with my computer here. 3.2.1, amend right-of-way access agreement, and that will go to Troy.
This goes back to the 26th Street and Landmark Drive intersection. Currently, it's a right-in, right-out, and it falls under the county's jurisdiction and does not meet their access management policy, and the variance was granted back in 2003 to the developer. To encourage development in that area, the county, the city, and developer had come to an agreement for full access at that intersection, and County Board and City Council approved that full access agreement in June. There was a traffic study done and some design work done, and as a result of that, only a 3/4 access would meet the engineering standards. So the agreement had to be amended. With that being one of it, there's two other parts to it. One being that the improvements in the original agreement were to be completed by September of 2003. Obviously, that's not going to be done, and so it will be done in 2014 under the new agreement. And then the county has agreed to put in the median improvements for an access to the south, which would be reimbursed when the development of that property happens. So those are the main three changes. The agreement still has certain safety and engineering standards for the intersection. The changes could be made if those standards are not met. Any future improvements to the access would be split between the county and the city, because we would have two legs, they would have two legs, much like it's done right now. The county board did approve the agreement at their last county board meeting, and the developer has also signed the agreement, and Mark Walbrand has reviewed the proposed agreement as well. So there are no costs to the city for the construction of the median as it's put in place next year. If at some point changes are needed at the intersection, the city would be responsible for half the costs, much like it would be figured today with the city having two legs and the county having two legs. So staff would recommend approval of the amended right-of-way access agreement along 26th Street.
Thank you, Troy. Questions from the council? What is the council's wishes?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Nate to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Kevin. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Thank you, Troy. With that, we'll move on to labor agreement 3.2.2 for patrol officers for 2012-2013, and we'll go to Chris.
Thank you, Les. The city was involved in an interest arbitration hearing with the police patrol unit. We received an arbitrator's decision, and a summary of the changes to the contract is listed in your packet. Essentially, the only changes were wages, and the internal pattern was awarded with 1% effective January 1st, 2012, 1% January 1st, 2013, and 0.5% July 1, 2013. In addition, the health insurance contributions by the employer were maintained at the 2011 amounts, and there was no other changes. Budget impact expense of $69,000 for 2012. And 2013 funding to come from an appropriation in the budget for contingencies. So staff would recommend approval.
Thank you, Chris. Now, this was approved through arbitration.
Yes.
Have the patrol officers union signed this agreement yet?
Yes, they have. Because the arbitrator awarded it, we felt that we had to, submit the wage increases. There was some confusion. They had a personnel change of the business agent, and he had some questions about the actual language of the contract that we had to work through, and that's why you're seeing it a little later.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the council? What is the council's wishes?
I would make a motion we approve 3.22 patrol labor agreement.
Thank you, Kevin. We have a motion by Kevin to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Dave Burbank. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Thank you, Chris. With that, we'll move on to 3.5.2, approve municipal state aid street funds. And with that, we will go to,
Kyle.
5.1.
I'm sorry, I go to job Z, which I'm overlooking a little bit.
3.5.1.
3.5.1 for vision projects or products, and that will go to Troy. Sorry about that.
The city has received a request from Vision Processing Technologies to undertake an expansion at their Owatonna facilities and to seek tax increment financing assistance in conjunction with that expansion. We do have a scheduled public hearing on that on December 17th for the tax increment financing assistance. Currently, the Vision property is within the Job Z program. Property that is within a designated Job Z project area cannot simultaneously exist within a tax increment financing district. And so we are required to remove a portion of the Vision property from the Job Z program. The Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development has provided the guidelines for reducing that existing Job Z program area. So currently, the entire Job Z, or the entire Vision property is within the Job Z program. So what this does is it carves out the area where the addition would be going as part of their expansion, and that removes it from the Job Z program. The Job Z program goes until the end of 2015, so it offers 2 more years of those benefits. Under our negotiations with them on this project, we talked about doing a tax increment financing district, which would be an economic development tax increment financing district, and would go for 9 years just for that portion on the addition. So in order to comply with all that, with the deed guidelines for reducing the size, there is a resolution that would need to be adopted, and that's attached here. So staff would recommend approval of the attached resolution reducing that Job Z area as proposed.
Thank you, Troy. Raymond?
What does that do to the Job Z for them now that's going to be taken away? What impact will that have on them as a company? Or
it will have very little impact because the Job Z will still apply to the facility as it exists today. The only portion that's being removed is the portion where the addition is going on.
So if they have people working in that new addition, they will not be in the Job Z, then you're saying the new addition, is that what you're talking about?
Well, the Job Z program is considered the tax-free zone, and so there's tax relief for that area. And right now it's over the entire facility till the end of 2015. So to provide, it can't be both in Job Z and TIF, and to provide a benefit that goes beyond 2015 just for the area of expansion, that portion needs to be removed from the Job Z, and the TIF then could apply to that addition.
Okay. Any other questions? What is the council's wishes?
I'll move approval of that.
We have a motion to approve by Raymond. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Nate. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. Now I'll go to 3.52, which is approval of municipal state aid funds, and that will go to Kyle.
Good evening. Annually, the city of Owatonna gets about $1.1 million in municipal state aid funds that we spend on our streets that are designated for that expenditure. We're allowed to borrow ahead approximately 4 years. with the planned projects for next year, we are anticipating needing an advance of $1,735,000. And this would be for projects on Lamont Road, Dane Road, which is a cooperative project with Steele County, and then the sidewalk from I-35 to Park Drive along the south side of Bridge Street. So MnDOT requires a resolution from the council to advance those funds, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Kyle. Raymond?
Oh, Kyle, what would happen if the legislators decide they're not going to be able to advance, so there's going to be a dead period for a couple of years? And we know we've been advancing for a long time. And
Right, and I don't anticipate that to happen. They have actually quite a bit of extra funds that doesn't get spent, so they encourage borrowing ahead at this time.
Which means that we will not be able to borrow for 4 years or 3 years.
We would go back into the positive in around 2016.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions from the council? What is the council's wishes?
Motion to approve.
The motion by Kevin to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Brent Svenby. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. We will now move on to 3.53, premise permit for Bumps Bar for Claremont Area Chamber of Commerce, and we'll go to Chris.
Thank you, Les. We're looking for approval of a resolution to conduct charitable gambling. The Owatonna Youth Hockey offers pull tabs at the Sportsman's Grill currently. This resolution will allow the Claremont Area Chamber of Commerce to offer pull tabs at Bumps Bar. The annual fee has been paid by the Owatonna Hockey Association, so no additional fee is due. So staff would recommend approval.
Thank you, Chris. This is for Bumps Bar with the Claremont Area Chamber.
The first
Yeah.
resolution.
Questions from the
The
council?
first resolution, yes.
Excuse me. Make a motion we approve.
We have a motion by Nate to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Dave Burbank. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Now we will go on to 3.54, which is for the Sportsman's Bar, which is also involving the Owatonna Youth Hockey.
Correct. They have submitted all of the required paperwork, and staff would recommend approval.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions from the council?
so move we approve.
Motion by Raymond to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Greg Schultz. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now we'll move on to public comments, and with that, we'll open it up. Anyone in the audience wish to comment on anything not on the agenda? We allow about approximately 2 minutes for comments. Please come to the microphone if you wish to speak.
I just thought I'd hang around and ask for an update on cable TV in Owatonna. Where are we at with our current agreement with Charter and getting a new agreement? And
Thank you. Well, maybe you can answer that, Chris?
Certainly. Our attorney has spoken with Charter's attorney. They've had some personnel shifts where we have a new government liaison has just been assigned. They are currently reviewing our PEG funding request, and they said that their new person is Leanne Herrera, is giving the Owatonna renewal the highest priority. So they're continuing to work on it. We had Bob Vos and myself met with Jaguar Communications and had a very good preliminary meeting, and we're continuing our negotiations.
have we published our intent to offer other franchises at this
Not
point?
at this time. That's-
And just to clarify on that PEG Access Fund, will we charge that, I think it was $85,000 up front? Are we going to charge that to each vendor?
That is a consideration, right? We would have to, treat each each cable franchise similarly.
Okay. So the description of the need for that money was for equipment and so on. So if we have 3 providers, do we need 3 times the equipment?
Well, in light,
And I'm just asking because this gets passed on to the consumer.
right.
So if we're asking for more and more, but so we don't have we don't have an agreement at this point.
Nope.
And we've expended about $10,000 to a consultant to not have an agreement at this point. And we don't have any new vendors that have approached us to say we're ready to do business. And we haven't told the vendors, here's the deal, we want to do business.
We've sent out letters. We've sent out 2 sets of letters to area local, or not local, but to cable companies to encourage them to apply.
Have we delivered our sample agreement that we want them to operate under?
Any
of the vendors?
We have sent a preliminary letter. We have not sent our franchise request.
Okay.
It's a negotiation process, and obviously you negotiate. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Seeing none, we will move on to council comment, and with that, we'll start with Raymond.
Just want to congratulate the Owatonna football, and I guess the mayor had a bunch of people here 3 weeks ago. I guess they all have done an excellent job, of presenting themselves as our community, and that was outstanding. I mean, first time ever. And one of the kids that were playing, his grandpa was here. I served with his grandpa on this board, and he would have been pretty proud of his grandson playing that day. So just want to wish him the best. So
Thank you, Raymond. Nate.
Nothing to add.
Greg.
Raymond said it well.
Dave.
Nothing from Ward 3.
Kevin.
Nothing from Ward 4 tonight.
Brent.
Nothing to add.
Mr. Mayor. Tom.
Nothing to add.
Chris.
Just a reminder about the holiday train is coming into town on Friday, December 6th. Train should be pulling in around 5:30.
Thank you. Well, I guess from my standpoint, I would like to congratulate the Owatonna High School and their team for winning. I would also like to congratulate the Brainerd Warriors. We've been in their position. We know the heartbreak. They trained just as hard as our team did to get there and to hopefully win. So with that, I do congratulate the Brainerd Warriors also. So with that, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Kevin. Do we have a second to that?
I'll second it.
Second by Raymond. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.